Welcome back everybody, my name is Nick930 and this is my final review for Playground Games' newest entry to the Forza series, Forza Horizon 4. Forza Horizon 4 takes everything learned from Horizon 3 and builds upon it, with improved visuals, more streamlined multiplayer, and an arguably more interesting open world environment to explore. But Horizon 4 also seems to fall into the same traps as the last game, with a heavy focus on grinding, randomized progression, and repetitive activities. But before we get into all that, let's talk about the game's story. Obviously, being a racing game, there's not much here in terms of an actual narrative, but I will say that the game's overall mission structure and progression has kept me engaged far longer than the somewhat randomized nature of Horizon 3, and I think this is in part due to the new focus on seasons. Horizon 4's biggest selling point is that the game world will change drastically to a new season, like fall, winter, or spring. Each of these seasons offer their own unique visual aesthetic and introduce interesting gameplay changes. I was a bit disappointed to learn that these supposed dynamic seasons aren't truly dynamic at all. Once you complete the initial 4 seasons, you're dropped into an online world with other players and weekly events tied to whichever season that the server dictates. That means the seasons will be locked all that week and will never change despite it appearing that way in promotional material. So no, you're not going to see the ice melt away or flowers slowly start to bloom, but the 4 seasons are still a great feature and make every experience feel different, even if you're racing on the exact same course. Ice and snow will require much different control than a clean tarmac, for example. By splitting up events based on seasons, I felt there was a much clearer indication that I was making progress through the game, and finishing off events with a big showcase by having players race against some ridiculous vehicle felt like a great way to bookmark these seasons. These showcase events are awesome, with huge vehicles like a train or a hovercraft smashing through the track, and ramps often being set up so that you can jump over them. These showcase events also are a bit strange in that you can never really tell if you're winning or losing. The vehicles you're racing don't follow the same path as you, and your only indication that you're in the lead is the placement ticker at the top of the screen. The showcase vehicle could be behind you, and it will still say that you're in second place. Still, if you race cleanly and keep up with the big slow motion jump setup, then these are never that difficult. Fans of the series will recognize these showcase events from previous titles, but they do seem to be more epic than before. The rest of the game is pretty much identical to Horizon 3 in its structure. You'll race several different event types like dirt, road, and street races, all while increasing your rank and unlocking cars with randomized loot boxes, wheel spins. Other side activities return like smashing signs, making huge jumps, hunting down barn finds, and racing through speed cameras, and they all seem to function the same as before. The entire game, despite its expert level of polish and quality, feels like a huge expansion pack for the last game. And again, this isn't necessarily a bad thing, because Horizon 3 was an incredible racing game, and there's no real reason to change anything in terms of the core gameplay experience. Now, there are a few very minor things that have changed here that I already like. First off, you're not stuck paying for car deliveries anymore. In Horizon 3, switching your car had to be done either at a festival site, or you could spend credits to change your car out on the road. Now, you can just change your car whenever you want without penalty, which allows for a more varied and fun open world driving experience. Unfortunately, you're still stuck paying for fast travels as a way to encourage the player to explore more. But this can get tedious if you're only interested in doing the events, and not so much in driving around the open world. Instead of festivals, players can now use their credits to purchase houses, which are scattered around the map pretty generously. These houses can cost an insane amount of credits though, meaning you likely won't own them all unless you really grind away in this game and avoid buying cars. Speaking of cars, Horizon 4 features about 40 new cars, not previously available in Horizon 3, but also seems to have dropped a few minor cars from the last game like the Opel GT for example. The cars seem to handle exactly the same as before, with forgiving steering controls and a ton of tweakable options in the game's menus that allow you to fine-tune your experience to match your experience level. Another big change that Horizon 4 implemented is a more seamless online experience. In past Horizon titles, players could race around an open world with various drivatars or AI-controlled vehicles with actual player names, but when connected online in Horizon 4, you'll now see real players racing around the world in real time, with servers up to 80-some players. From what I've seen so far, there seems to be very little network-based lag in the game, and everything seems to function as it should. The online world of Forza Horizon feels more alive thanks to this, and it seems to be implemented much better than it was in Horizon 3. And finally, we get to the visuals, possibly the most enticing aspect of this new title. Forza games always look gorgeous, but Horizon 4 steps this up a notch with improved lighting effects, incredible reflective surface quality, improved tessellation effects, and significantly improved performance. On the Xbox One X, Horizon 4 can run at a native 4K resolution, locked at 30 FPS. But if players choose, they can now switch to a performance mode and play the game at 1080p 60 FPS. Unfortunately, one of the biggest issues with Horizon 4 on the Xbox One X are the load times. I found myself waiting a good 10 minutes just to play the game after booting it up, switching to the 60 FPS mode and resetting the system, and waiting through the menus again. Starting any event will have you watching your character dance around your car for a good 15 seconds, and it can get very tedious very quickly. Thankfully, the PC version doesn't suffer from this issue, assuming you have good hardware. In fact, the PC version runs beautifully when compared to its predecessor Horizon 3. Gone are the insufferable stutters that plagued the previous game, and in its place are smooth frame rates that can be pushed as high as your system can handle. With the 1080 Ti, I managed to get solid performance far exceeding 60 FPS with every setting cranked up as high as possible at a 1440p resolution. I haven't had a chance to test the game running on a 2080 Ti yet, as the card is still being delivered as I'm making this video, but I imagine it'll be able to run this game easily at a native 4K resolution and 60 FPS. Overall, Forza Horizon 4 is a beautiful casual racing experience that boasts some of the very best visuals in the racing game market. Things like seasons add an extra level of complexity to the experience and help to break up what would normally feel like a repetitive grind, and the showcase events are more epic than ever before. I love the more streamlined implementation of online multiplayer, and am more driven to actually participate than I was in the past entries. If you weren't a fan of Horizon 3, then chances are the changes made for Horizon 4 won't interest you, but for everyone else, I highly recommend picking this game up. If you're still unsure, Playground Games has a demo available to try for free, which includes the prologue segment of the game that gives a pretty good sense of what the experience is like. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this review, and if you want to learn more about Horizon 4, be sure to check out my direct comparison video where I directly compare it to Horizon 3. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos like this posted every week.